Hey, Pammy, I've got your ad up here. Let me just get rid of that. Okay, I've got your ad up. I also have it up right here. So we'll take a look at this one. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and fit it in the window. So, okay, that's perfect. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. So, a couple of things. It looks like there's some sort of a textured effect over this ad, and I highly recommend you don't do that. Should be a very pristine, crystal clear, crisp image that's ready for production in a magazine ad. And I just don't see the benefit of that textured pattern over the front. It almost looks like you're looking through a screen. Um, but I would highly, highly recommend that you remove that. Okay, as far as the mechanics of the ad goes, I think there's a couple of things we can do to improve the ad itself. Um, One of the things I see is the fact that there's a color shift. Okay, so we take a look at that color. That's not the purple from the logo. If we jump over and take a look at the logo, that's the purple from the logo. This is more of a dark blue. I'm assuming the color for the text is also set in that purple, but again, it's rendering as dark blue. I think the reason for this is probably has to do with your color modes. So don't forget, this should be set up in the CMYK color mode. So basically what you're going to do is set up the Illustrator file up in the CMY color mode. Just make sure that you go ahead and select, paste, and copy and paste the exact logo into the magazine ad. Okay, again, the magazine ad should be set up in the CYMK color mode. I'm guessing it's set up in RGB, but check it to make sure. We have to figure out where these color shifts are coming from. Additionally, we can see the placement of the logo has been distorted. This typically happens when you place the logo and you resize it. Now, when you resize a logo, by the way, in this image, it looks like the logo is selected. We can see a bounding box around the image in the presentation. So you want to make sure that that's not selected when you go ahead and do your screenshot. At any rate, the logo, as we can see, is distorted. Not by much, but definitely is. Now, when you place something in logo, when you place an element in logo. When you place the logo in Illustrator, basically what you want to do is if you're going to resize it, you click the logo, get these bounding boxes, and that little corner bounding box, when you hold your cursor over that, you can resize it. If you hold your shift key down, it'll constrain the original aspect ratio of the original logo, and you won't get this this vertical distortion here. So be sure you do that. Okay, as far as the ad itself goes, I think that there's, again, a couple of things that we can do here is number one, I want to bring the text down in the ad. Right now it's jammed up all the way towards the top margin. So we'll move it down a little bit, reduce the size of the head and the subhead and the headline and the subhead. So the headline basically shouldn't span the entire width, but maybe something like this. So say, come join us to relax. Okay, so something like that. Then reduce this to left align it underneath there. At that point, I think this type box right here is too long. So what I would do is it ends good. It ends almost at the right margin. That's great. But I wouldn't start it till maybe over the end of the E. So it's about that width instead of this entire width. So reduce the size of the body copy, the text boxes associated with the body copy. Then I would take this contact information, and since you're moving the head sub down, we're going to place the contact information spanning across the top of the ad. For a great example of how to do that, take a look at the examples in the announcements area. And that leaves us with the logo. So what I would do with the logo then is just leave it where it's at, except really reduce the size, something like this. Okay, it's just too prominent right there, so we'll reduce the size. And I think that should indicate some pretty good. Now, I do see an issue with the masked image. The masked image is definitely showing areas of the original background. We can clearly see this areas of sand, and it's just not working. I mean, it's very clearly. I don't know if you want to replace the background image to something else, or if you want to just work the sand out of that. I'm guessing the original intent was to try to make these look like they were embedded in sand in the ad, but unfortunately that won't work with this ad because this is water over here, right? So again, you might reconsider the masked image because we really don't want to see indications of the background. All right, so good job, and definitely, most definitely recommend removing this texture from the file. Okay. All right. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. But it's a good start. It's a little bit of work to do to get it where it needs to be, and I'd like to see those changes reflected in the final ad. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks, Pammy.